And I want to thank all of you for being here today. I'm going to be sharing some information about the project management certifications, our classes, our materials, and our subscriptions that are all available on our website. I'm also going to include quite a few links on the different slides. So please copy any of those links that are going to pertain to you or to somebody that you know that is interested in taking a project management certification. A few things about this webinar as we get started. These are the different resources and different information that we have taken some of our information for this PowerPoint and used these resources. Just to reiterate that our document does contain some proprietary materials, and this document is not for use or disclosure outside of those who attend this webinar and may not be copied, recorded, or reproduced in any manner, in whole or in part, without the prior written consent of RMC Learning Solutions. A little bit about myself. This is obviously an older picture of me on the slide when I used to have a lot longer hair and it wasn't red. But my name is Cheryl Karstens. I am the manager of curriculum development and a trainer with RMC Learning Solutions. I have been in this industry now for 20 plus years, probably closer to 25. I might need to update my slide a little bit. I have experience in training and development, project management, agile, hybrid, business analysis, and leadership development. All of the materials that I'm going to be talking about today, I have read, had a portion of the time creating most of these materials. So I'm very well versed in project management and all of our training materials. I am also a 3-time speaker at PMI Global Summit, which I was at last week. Did not speak of this year, but going to try, I believe I'm going to try again for next year. I have a BA in Human Resources from Metropolitan State University in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I've completed all of the courses for a master's in organizational leadership at Bethel University, which is also in Minnesota. That is where I am currently located. It is a beautiful day today, but a little bit chilly. I think it's about 37 Fahrenheit, but it's going to be beautiful this weekend. So I'm very excited. Just some background on RMC Learning Solutions. We were founded in 1991 by Rita Mulcahy. And Rita, when she was studying to take her PMP exam, she was looking for resources and could not find any. And so she drafted the very first PMP exam prep study guide and study book. And the outline and all of her strategies that she had and used to pass the PMP are all included in her book. And we have been updating this book throughout the years, but the majority of the content is still from Rita. And unfortunately, Rita passed away from breast cancer, but we have worked very hard to keep all of these materials current. And I'm going to also give you a little bit of a preview of what we have for 2026 coming out. We have helped over 1 million professionals prepare for certification exams. Over the past 30 plus years now, we have had a great success rate with people taking our classes, using our materials, and passing the exam on the very first time. We specialize in project management, agile, and hybrid. And we have numerous learning solutions and products ranging from self study to e learning to classroom and instructor led virtual classes. We also have a certified RMC training program, and we also have a training partner program. Both of those continue to grow, and we have a great opportunity for more people or organizations to become either a certified RMC trainer or become part of our training partner program. We also have an international reach. We currently train in 60 regions and in 18 languages. And last week at PMI Global, I got to talk to a lot of our international training partners and students, and it was great. And I'm going to share a little bit more about that today as I go through our slide deck. And we are an outcome based learning organization through professional instructors, coaches, and mentors. And I believe that is one of our key strategies in helping all of our students pass their exams. We do individual coaching, group coaching, and we can help anyone when they are preparing for taking this exam. So, we are going to be answering all of your questions today. We're going to first start with an overview of certification options and the requirements to help you choose the right certification for your goals. We are going to also talk about creating a preparation timeline with realistic milestones and tips for passing the exam. We do this very extensively in each of our classes, and we also have content in our book to help you with creating that timeline. I'm also going to be talking about overcoming test anxiety and some exam roadblocks by managing your exam day nerves and understanding the new exam. And that's going to be part of what is coming in 2026. So, first of all, you do need to look at and decide if a project management certification is the right exam for you. There are a few things listed here on this slide that I would like to address. These are some of the more common reasons that people either have second guess or have some questions about for us at RMC, but then also just are lingering in their minds. So the financial expense of taking a certification exam versus your return on investment. And for many people, the financial expenses can be a hurdle, something that they're very conscious of, especially if you're paying for it yourself, versus having an organization or someone else pay for it for you. On average, project manager professionals or people that receive their PMP certification, they do make 33% more than people without their certification. And it can also be very helpful when you are looking for a project management position, because if you have that listed on your resume and during an interview, if you are talking about being a potential project manager, having your PMP certification really does help put you over the top of other applicants. There is also ongoing maintenance for the certifications. For example, for the PMP exam, you do need to have 60 PDUs that you're collecting after you have gotten your certification. And the time frame for those 60 PDUs is over the course of 3 years. I have found that it is very easy for me to collect those PDUs. There are many different ways that you can do that, but mostly it is for me, it's about watching webinars, being a member of PMI. They have articles and webinars and classes that you can collect PDUs, and RMC does also. You will receive one PDU for attending this session with us today. So I don't find that as much of a hurdle, but it does take a time commitment to keep either your CAPM or your PMP certification active. Also, some people have a fear of it being a difficult exam. And I will tell you that is correct. It is a difficult exam. By purchasing our materials and taking our class, we break down everything that you really need to know when you are taking the exam. And we have a fast track exam simulator that all of the questions are similar to what you're going to be taking on the actual exam. So we help you prepare for this exam. We also have a lot of tips and tricks, and I am going to go through some of those with you today. But it is all about studying and being prepared for the exam. And this also falls under the next bullet, the PM mindset versus your real world application. Project Management Institute that does give this exam for both the CAPM and the PMP. They have their standards that they have put into place and that the exam is based on. And there are instances where the organization that you may work for may do things a little bit differently. And when you are taking this exam, you have to take off that organizational hat and put on your PMI hat. It is a great way to learn about project management and learn all of the theories behind all of the applications that you are going to be doing. And that is one of the reasons why PMI has set up that certification exam. So, in reality, when you have that exam, then you can take that information and use it anywhere. And so, it is not some specific to any type of real world organization or how they may do some of the different actions. But as you go through our class, we remind you of that. And then as you are taking your fast track exam simulations, you also practice those questions. And so we have everyone in our class identify what are some of their areas of opportunity or something that they need to learn more about or change the way that they are currently answering those questions, which may be incorrect. So we have a lot of materials to help you adjust your mindset from possibly the way that you are currently doing project management to look at it from the way that PMI is directing everyone to do project management and those questions on the actual exam. Other people also have a great fear of the application process. You do have to complete an application in order to take the certification exam. And that application does require you to write down and prove the level of experience that you have. My best advice for anyone looking at completing the application is to use all of the terminology that you're using in class. So, for me personally, before I took a PMP or a CAPM class, I was doing a work breakdown structure, but I didn't call it a work breakdown structure. I didn't even realize that it was a form of something that was needed for project management. But when I completed my application, then all of the times of working on breaking all of that project down, then I referred to it as a work breakdown structure. And that's what I encourage you to be able to do. It does take time in order to not only take your class, but then also to study for that exam. And what time do you have to study and to devote to this process? We all have a lot of other external things besides our work. We have our families, our exercising and making time for that, volunteering, any hobbies that we may have, sports that we are in, or our kids are in, or in my case, my grandkids are in. All of that information you're going to use to help you decide whether or not this is the right time for you to pursue certification, and if it is, we're also going to help you schedule that time and take all of that into consideration. So if I know that I am playing softball in the summer on Tuesday nights, I'm not going to schedule myself to be studying on Tuesday nights. That's not a realistic expectation for myself. So, I'm also going to spend a little bit more time talking about that today as we're going through all of this information. So, when we are thinking about our project management certification, the first level is the Certified Associate of Project Management. It's also called the CAPM, it's called the CAPM. And this is a great way to get started with project management. And honestly, that's what I did. This is the first certification that I received. The CAPM is ranked number one out of the most in demand professional certifications, according to the Entrepreneur Media. And earning your CAPM certification can help you advance in your career, increase your earning potential, and is the first step in pursuing any of our major certifications, including the Professional Project Management Certification or the PMP. The biggest difference between the CAPM and our PMP is the amount of experience that you need to document on your application. And the CAPM class and the exam is much more centered on terminology and using the correct terminology, and the PMP, those questions are more focused on scenario based and making sure that you really understand project management and are ready to be a project management leader. But some of the common career paths that are associated with a CAPM are the assistant project manager, a project administrator, a project analyst, a project coordinator, a project manager, or a technical project manager. An organization that I used to work for had a whole group of their actual job titles were administrators, but they were working with all of the project managers within their department, and all of those administrators took the CAPM class and exam so they could better understand the terminology and exactly what was being said by all of the project managers. So there is a great demand for people with their CAPM certification in order to better understand general project management. And then we also have listed on this slide the requirements for taking the CAPM exam. So you do need to have a secondary degree, such as a high school diploma or a general education development or GED, or the global equivalent of those. And then you also need to have at least 23 hours of project management education completed before the exam. And our CAPM class is 23 hours. So by taking our class, then you would have that requirement all completed when you are ready to complete your application. Down on the bottom, there is a link here that has more information about the CAPM certification, and this will take you to the PMI website, and you will get more information about the CAPM when you look at that link. So for our PMP exam and the application, this is designed for experienced project managers with over 3 years of experience leading and managing projects. Application of knowledge and experience in project management good practices to situations. And as I said earlier, it is all scenario based, the questions on the actual exam. So it is not necessarily about just understanding what those terms mean. It's about applying that knowledge and those skills. We have analysis of situations, questions, and answers to determine the best answer provided. And that is a key in all of our exam certification classes, is that you want to choose what the best answer is. Generally, there are two good answers, but one of them is always better. And you can find information and the current examination content outline at pmi.org. And I believe I have that link further in this presentation. There it is. These are the requirements for the exam and what you will be completing on your application. So there are 3 different options in order to be able to be qualified to take the certification exam. It does have a requirements to apply to have training in project management. So it is 35 hours of project management education or a current CAPM certification. Our classes are 35 hours. We do also have our 4-day class, which ends up being 36 hours, but obviously then it still is over 35, so you are still meeting that requirement. So option 1 is a 4-year degree and a minimum of 36 unique months of project management experience leading and directing projects. Option 2 is to have a secondary degree and a minimum of 60 unique months of project management experience leading and directing projects. So, a secondary degree would again be your high school degree or a GED. And then option three is to have a bachelor's or postgraduate degree from a GAC accredited program. That is the majority of bachelor's degrees are all from accredited programs. That would be more for international students or somebody that maybe received a bachelor's degree in a different country and wants to make sure that their experience or they're going to still qualify to take this certification exam. And then they need a minimum of 24 unique months of project management experience leading and directing projects. And you can find all of this information by clicking on this link or copying and pasting it and then clicking on that link to give you more information about the requirements for the PMP. So, some of the key information regarding our current project management exams, and all of this is again discussed in our classes and is also available in our books. Our exams are divided, or I should say, PMI's exams are divided into two or three parts, depending on if it is the CAPM exam or the PMP exam. Once you submit a part of the exam, your break starts. And then you cannot revisit questions from a part of the exam once submitted. So you cannot go back after your break and change any of your answers from that portion of the exam that you have already submitted. You must keep track of the break time. If you do not return on time from your break, you will not be given any remaining breaks. And also, that time is then going to be taken off of how much time you have to complete the rest or the other portions of the exam. So you don't want to ever come back from break late. At the end of the break, you proceed with the next part of the exam. And then you just forget about that first section and all of those questions. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well. We have different types of exam questions that are going to be on your actual exam. And then some of these are also in our fast track exam simulations. There is matching. There is a drag and drop where you will generally have three columns, and the first column is going to list out something that needs to be matched with the third column, and then that column in the middle is where you're going to drag the correct answer. So you're going to be doing a matching, but you're also going to be dragging and dropping within that program. There is also multiple response answers where it will ask you check for three correct answers for this question. And then you're just going to go ahead and check three of them. So you make sure that you are looking for the amount of question or the amount of responses that that question is asking for. There is also a hotspot where there might be a graph of some sort that you're going to be able to click right into that graph and put in the correct answer for that question, or it may have options, and then you would be putting in the letter of the correct response. And then there's also limited fill in the blank questions. The fill in the blank questions also have options They generally have four, A, B, C, and D, that you can pick to fill in the blank for whatever that question is asking and what portion of that question or statement is missing. So if you do want to get more information about the question types, you can also look at the exam content outlines on their PMI website. And here there are links for the CAPM and for the PMP to go in and look at what those current exam content outlines are. And then you can take your exam either at an online proctored exam or at a testing center. And I do have the links for the testing center. I think it's going to come up in about 2 slides. So first of all, looking at our online proctored exam. Many times, if you are going to be doing an online proctored exam, you will be able to test sooner because their schedule is much more flexible than it is at a testing center. And you can take your exam 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That schedule is also put out by you and then agreed to by the person that's going to be proctoring your exam or just watching you take your exam. You do not have to travel to a testing center. If you are living in an area where there are no testing centers that are very close, or you're going to maybe have to drive an hour or two to get to a testing center, I definitely encourage you to look at having an online proctored exam. There's no concern of COVID or being exposed by anyone else who happens to be in that testing center. They do have an online whiteboard that you can type in some notes and use throughout the exam. And there are 2 set break times, as I was just talking about, that you'll be able to either take that break, or if you're like me, I was heads down, just wanted to get that exam finished. I did not take a break. I just clicked submit and then just kept going. We do have a question. Is this webinar being recorded? I won't be able to stay for the whole event. Yes, it is being recorded. And for everyone that registered for this exam, then they will receive a recorded copy of this whole entire webinar. All right. Some of the cons of taking an online proctored exam. The online whiteboard, it may take more time for you to be able to navigate it. It is a little bit cumbersome. It all depends on what type of style that you have as a learner, whether or not that online whiteboard is going to be helpful for you or not. You have the ability to have a space with no noise or interruptions. You cannot read the questions out loud or do any mumbling. That is one of the main reasons that I have taken the last 2 certification exams that I've taken at a testing center. If you could see my desk, you would completely understand. When you are taking a proctored exam, you cannot have anything out on your desk, anything that the proctor may think that you could be using to have information about the exam or get any tips or have somebody else in the room with you. You are going to take pictures of your work area, and then you're also going to take your computer and walk around the room. So the proctor will be able to see if there's anything that may distract you or that could possibly give you some of the answers. Also, you want to make sure that if you have any dogs or cats or animals, that they're not able to get into the room while you are taking that exam. You must limit movement. That includes moving your eyes and your lips to stay in compliance. And I have heard of some people that have been questioned that as they're thinking, they tend to look up. If the proctor sees some of that type of information from you, they may ask you to again show them the area that you're looking to make sure that there is nothing there that's going to be distracting for you. And it's also just a really good practice as you are taking the exam to just look at your computer screen. So with a testing center, some of the known pros of taking the exam at a testing center is the known rules and environment. If you do your homework and read about your testing center, there will be no surprises for you. Any accommodations that you may need if you have a learning disability or are dyslexic or have anything that may require more time for you to take the exam, you can talk to that testing center ahead of time, and then all of those accommodations will be ready for you when you arrive to take the exam. There's also the ability to use the center provided writing materials. This is more on the pre side of taking the exam, but there are resources at some of the testing centers that you can either talk to or go meet with someone that can also help you prepare to take the exam. And then you also have those 2 set breaks. Some of the cons of using a testing center is the testing center availability. It can be limited, so it may be difficult to find the correct time for you to take the exam. Once you submit your application and it is accepted, you should begin scheduling for your exam. And you need to bring in your own snacks or beverages and then ask them how to access them during the breaks. You cannot have any snacks or beverages while you are taking the exam. But if you want to have a snack during the break, most of the testing centers, you will have a locker, and then you can leave that information or those items in your locker. Excuse me for just a second. I need to cough. I am sorry about that. And this is where you can get some information on the certification testing exams. So, as I said earlier, you can go to pmi.org to get more information about the actual exam itself. But if you do have questions or want to talk to people either at the testing center or about an online proctored information. I do have both of those links on this slide that you can copy and paste, and then you can reach out to them and they can answer any questions that you have. The certification preparation timeline. On this slide, I've also listed any of our upcoming classes. We have the opportunity in December for two 4-day PMP classes. Excuse me. And in January, which I do not believe is on our website quite yet, but it will be very shortly, we have a 10-session class that will be taking place on Saturday mornings. For 10 Saturday mornings, it starts January 17th and runs for those Saturday mornings through March 21st. And then we also have a CAPM 3-day course that is going to be offered in February 24th through the 26th. Also not on our website yet, but it will be there in not very long at all. So some of the information about our classes. At RMC, we are committed to help you pass your certification exam on your first attempt. And our proven teaching method is so effective that we confidently guarantee your success when you complete an RMC instructor-led exam prep course. If you successfully complete one of our instructor-led exam prep courses and do not pass your exam within 90 days, we've got you covered, and that is part of our RMC guarantee. You do need to reach out and contact us within 90 days of failing the exam. But as I said earlier, the majority of the people who do take our classes, they pass, and they pass on the very first time. I work with students that have failed the exam, and I will say the majority of them come so close that there are just a few additional things that they need to study more, and I help work with them to determine what those items are and then what they can do to fill any of those knowledge gaps. So the RMC guarantee. We also have expert instructors. I am an instructor, and we have, I believe, 5 other instructors, and everyone has their PMP that enables them to be able to teach both the CAPM and the PMP class. And you are going to receive everything that you need in order to prepare for that class. So you're going to receive either the CAPM exam prep book or the PMP exam prep book. The fast track exam simulation, our hot topics are digital flashcards and a student workbook. And then we encourage everyone to take their exam within 4 to 6 weeks after they have taken our class. If you wait too long, you just really run the risk of forgetting what you had learned. And we don't want that to happen to anyone. So ideally, 6 weeks is the perfect time for you to take the exam after you finish one of our courses. You can also find more information about all of our classes by clicking on either of the links that are here. We have information for individuals who are looking to take either the CAPM or the PMP exam. And also we have a separate link for businesses or organizations that are looking at having a set class for students within their organization. There is a question about the cost of the classes. It really does vary, and if you go on to our website, it will give you more information about how much each of our classes does cost. I have the exam prep book, the latest edition. I am able to take the online quizzes after each exam, but whenever I scan the resources QR code within the book to access the resources, it takes me to a website, and you do need a password, and I can give you that password. That password is 7482 *RMC. And that is how you can have access to all of the resources that are listed on our website. 7482 #RMC. So part of what we do in the class, and then is also listed in the books, are reflection and study planning. And everyone, after they take our class, has the best intentions of mapping out their study plan. But what we have learned over the 30 years now that we've been doing this class is that the majority of the people just don't take the time to have any study planning. So we do this at the end of our CAPM class and at the end of our PMP class. You will take an exam simulation. Generally, that's about 25 questions. And this is really meant for you to practice taking the exam. So after you're taking that exam, you want to think about how similar will this experience be if you take the proctored exam at home. And then what would you do the same and what would you do differently? And we give you the time in class to think about the answers to these questions. And these are also going to help you when you are planning out your studying. In the book, there is also a similar exercise and place for you to do a similar exercise, but I really, really believe that this is a key piece of people passing our exam, being prepared through a fast track and then taking that actual exam. So when you are then study planning, you're going to analyze your current study habits and learning style. Are you a person that is more of an auditory or you learn through listening? We have an audiobook that is available for purchase. So that might be something that it fits with your learning style and you might find to be very helpful. And then you're going to develop a schedule with a weekly calendar, think about your time management, and then how much time you can commit. And then you're also going to want to stick to that strategy. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that as well. We also have RMC subscriptions. If you go on to our website, that will give you more information. This is for if you are not going to take a class with RMC, but want to have all of our materials. There is subscriptions that you can purchase for the CAPM and also for the PMP exam themselves. And I also want to just talk a little bit about test anxiety and some different tips and tricks that we have for you to overcome any test anxiety that you may have. So you're going to look at and think about anything that is going through your mind and that is in a negative way that may influence the way that you are going to answer questions on the exam. So a lot of people have these common fears about running out of time on the exam, having test anxiety or having a panic attack during the exam, that they are going to have a difficult time remembering the inputs and outputs and remembering all of the different formulas. A ton of this information is included in the exam prep books. And for me, it's all about being prepared. And when you are studying, identifying those areas where you need to spend more time or go back and look at that information again. Also, negative self talk. This is a huge obstacle for a lot of people. And we spend time in class, and there is a lot of information in the exam prep book that really talks about how to not have negative self talk. I'm not fast enough. I will never get this. I'm going to fail. If you have that type of attitude, you really need to think about why. And also then think about what are some of the tips that you can do for yourself while you're taking that exam. And again, you can practice using those while you are taking the fast track exam simulators to help you prepare to take the actual exam. Breathing is always recommended, that when you are feeling anxious, that you take some deep breaths, that you center yourself, and that then you are ready to tackle that question. My other greatest tip is answer a question and move on. Do not give that question any more thought. You can always mark questions for review, and you can go back and look at those questions again. But many people that go back and they change their answer and it was correct and they change it to something that is incorrect. So really make sure that you are thinking about what that test strategy is, so you are not changing any of your correct answers into incorrect answers. Okay, I do want to spend a few minutes going through what's coming in 2026. I know there is a lot of anticipation for new materials and an update on the PMP exam and what's happening with those changes. But first, I do want to let you know that our new PMI Agile Certified Practitioner exam it is here. It is really close to being here. We have our first course January 26th through the 29th. That will be on our website next week. We have updated everything for ACP. We have a new updated book by our author, Mike Griffiths. We have updated the fast track exam simulator, the hot topics, and all of the materials for the course. It is 120 questions and 180 minutes for that ACP exam. So, a few different things for the update to our PMP class and exam. As I said, I was at PMI Global last week, and they released the PMBOK 8. I purchased a few hard copies of that book for us to review and get all of the information. And then they also reviewed the new exam content outline for July of 2026. And that is when the new updated exam will be available. So what's going to be changing for us? We are going to update all of our PMP exam prep materials, including the information on the resources section on our website. And one of the biggest changes is there is going to be more agile and hybrid based questions. So it is going to change to a 40% predictive, 60% agile and hybrid exam. Currently, it is 50-50. But in July of 2026, it is going to be predominantly agile and hybrid versus looking at it from the perspective of a predictive environment. I'm just going to get this on the screen right now. If you do scan the QR code, it will take you to the PMI area where you can claim your PDU for taking and observing this webinar. You do need to input the webinar title, and some information. The title is Preparing for Project Management Certification, Get Certified and Get Ahead. So I do want to give you all of that information before I answer any of your questions. I know we're getting down there in time. But I also want to let you know about our webinar in December. This is going to be a great webinar. It is Trends to Watch, the project management in 2026 and beyond. What's next for project managers? This is a forward-looking session on the future of project management roles and technology. And I do have the website address also on there, and you can register to attend this webinar. But it's going to be very good, and I'm also going to give some more information about our new project management PMP class in July. We just had a meeting yesterday from my team and went through and discussed all of the different materials and what needs to be updated. And we may have a little more information for you during this webinar next month. So with that, I do have a few questions, and I am going to answer those. I do want to thank everyone for being here today and getting access to all of this information. Click on those links, or you can always reach out at students@rmcls.com. That email comes straight to me, so I can also help you or refer you to our customer service agents. One of the questions was wanted me to give you again the passcode for using our resources section on our website. And the password is 7482 # RMC. And I believe RMC does need to be capitalized. And my other question, how close the fast track version 11 simulator questions are to the PMP certification ones. They are very close. And I would actually say what I have heard from our past students is that some of them are more difficult than the actual exam. And we have done that on purpose. We want you to feel as confident as you can when you go and sit for that actual exam. If you ever have any questions on the fast track or have any specific questions from that fast track, you can also give us the question ID number, and you can email that to students@rmcls.com, and we can give you more information about why that answer is answered the way that it is. And we will reinforce the fact that that answer is correct. I do have quite a few people that will try to explain to me why the answer is incorrect. And I can tell you from all of the people that I have worked with, the answers are correct. And it might just require you to think about that question and that response in a little bit different way. Those are all of the questions that I have for today. It is 1 o'clock on the dot by my clock. I want to thank you for being here. If you do have more questions about certification, please reach out, and everyone have a great day. Thank you.